Welcome to All Clear for our Fighter Health and Wellness. I'm Travis. Good to see you again. Today, we're going to talk about something that you've probably heard of if you've been around the firehouse a little bit or even been listening to the news. We're going to talk about nootropics. Before we get into the conversation today, I do want to make a disclaimer. I am not a doctor. I do not play one on television. Any advice I give you is just advice that I've either been given personally, my personal experiences, or things that have come up when doing research in reasonably reliable medical journals. So I am not an expert on nootropics, but I want to share with you what I've learned. First of all, let's break down what a nootropic is. Ultimately, a nootropic is a compound. It comes from the Greek word nous, which means mind, and tropein, which means to blend or turn. A mind-bending substance, maybe? Well, not exactly. Essentially, nootropics are substances that help to shape the mind. But what does that actually mean? Well, simply put, nootropics are substances, natural or synthetic, that may enhance brain function, areas like memory, focus, creativity, mood, even your stress resistance. They've been around in some form or fashion for thousands of years. Ancient civilizations like the Chinese and the Indians use herbs like ginseng and ashwagandha for mental clarity and stress relief. And today, modern science has expanded our understanding of these compounds, frequently refining them into products that can target specific areas of brain performance. So let's look at the two main categories of nootropics. You have the natural ones, which are things that are found in nature, obviously, often derived from plants, fungi, and even food. There are examples such as, this is one you're probably very, very well acquainted with, caffeine. This is probably the most widely used nootropic in the world. It improves our alertness, our focus. Mixing it in with energy drinks and things like that, or our coffee in the morning, or pre-shift energy drinks helps to hone in our focus and our alertness. And my caffeine of choice is the All Clear blend that you can find on our website at allclearpodcast.com. All right. In addition to caffeine, we have things like L-theanine. This is found in things like green tea. It's known for promoting a calm, alert state of mind. But here's a fun fact. When you combine it with caffeine, it can enhance your focus while reducing your jitters. Think about that. Another example is ginseng and rhodiola rosea. Big words. All these will be in the show notes. These are adaptogens that are known to help us manage stress and improve our endurance. Here's another one that you probably are taking in some shape or form now, and that's omega-3 fatty acids. These are things that are found in fish oil. These support overall brain health and cognitive function, plus it's also been shown to have other health benefits. The second ones are synthetic nootropics. Now, these are the man-made compounds that often provide more targeted effects. Now, some of these are paracetamol. This is one of the earliest nootropics developed. It was known for enhancing memory and learning ability. Also, we have modafinil. This was originally designed to treat sleep disorders like narcolepsy, but nowadays is frequently used off-label for promoting wakefulness and focus during long hours of work. We also have Noopept. This is a synthetic peptide with the potential memory-enhancing effects, often considered more potent than natural options. But you might be thinking, okay, are nootropics just supplements? Well, not necessarily. Nootropics can also be found in everyday foods. For example, dark chocolate. Who doesn't like dark chocolate? That contains flavonoids which support brain health. Also, we have turmeric. very common spice. Turmeric has curcumin in it, which is linked to improved memory and reduced brain inflammation. Now that we've kind of got a little idea about nootropics and where they come from, why might we as firefighters and first responders want to consider nootropics? Well, in our line of work, we're frequently operating in one of the most demanding professions there are. It's physically, emotionally, and mentally draining. Every shift is unpredictable, and the stakes couldn't be higher. In fact, that's why keeping our minds sharp and resilient is just as important as taking care of our physical fitness. This is where nootropics might be able to be supportive as a tool in these pursuits. Let's talk about some specific challenges we face and how nootropics could potentially help address them. The first one is mental clarity and focus. On any given day, we're juggling multiple tasks. Responding to calls, addressing dangerous situations, conducting inspections, investigations, coordinating with our crew, making split-second decisions. When all this goes on, mental clarity and focus are non-negotiable for this line of work. Caffeine, that we mentioned before, and L-theanine, those two together is kind of like the dynamic duo of nootropics, kind of like the Batman and Robin. Caffeine gives you the boost of alertness, while the L-theanine smooths out the edges, reduces your jitters, and the side effects promote a calm, laser-focused state, perfecting your ability to do these things, particularly early morning or late night. Another one, this is one that I use myself, and I've had some good success with it so far, is lion's mane mushroom. Now, this is a natural nootropic that supports nerve growth and improves mental clarity, which can be helpful when your mind feels foggy, especially after back-to-back calls. The second area that we can look at is stress management and emotional resilience. Let's be real. Our job's stressful. Whether it's dealing with traumatic events or consistent adrenaline spikes, chronic stress can take a very serious toll on our mental and physical health. In fact, over time, it's been shown to lead to burnout, reduced performance, and even long-term health issues. For that reason, things such as ashwagandha. Now, this is an ancient herb or adaptogen that is well researched for its ability to lower cortisol levels. That's the hormone responsible for stress. It can help you feel calmer, more grounded, and even focused in high-pressure situations. Another one that we mentioned before is rhodiola rosea. This is the anti-fatigue herb. Rhodiola can enhance your stress resistance and help you bounce back after a tough call. Now, let's talk about memory and learning. This is a big one for us. We are constantly training, whether it's learning, new protocols or SOGs, remembering pre-plans, keeping safety guidelines fresh in our mind. Having a sharp memory is a huge asset. For that reason, things such as Bacopa monnieri, all these will be in the show notes, I promise you. This herbal nootropic has been used for centuries to improve memory and learning. It works by enhancing the brain's ability to process and store new information. Here's another one you've probably heard of, ginkgo biloba. This is known for improving blood flow to the brain, and this nootropic may also enhance both short-term and long-term memory. Definitely something we can use. Here's another area that we all struggle with, sleep and recovery. Now, sleep is the elusive unicorn of the firefighting world. Long shifts, interrupted sleep cycles, irregular schedules can leave us feeling drained and ultimately mentally sluggish. Over time, lack of quality sleep can lead to brain fog, impaired decision-making, and a weakened immune system. For that reason, there are things like magnesium glycinate, another one I've tried that's been very effective. This form of magnesium helps relax your muscles, your nervous system, and it promotes a deeper, more restorative sleep. It's not a sleep aid, but it does assist. Here's another one that I know you've heard of, and boy, there are a ton of questions. In fact, we've actually talked about it in a couple of episodes. This is melatonin. Now, melatonin is a natural hormone that regulates sleep and wake cycles. Melatonin can help you fall asleep faster and get better rest after a chaotic shift. However, you have to use it in the proper manner. And we'll talk about that later. How about your energy and endurance? Let's not forget the sheer physical and mental endurance it takes to do this job. Whether you're battling a blaze, you're working a 48-hour shift, you're doing inspections, investigations, maintaining energy levels is critical. For this reason, things such as cordyceps mushrooms are great as a natural nootropic that is known for improving oxygen utilization and increasing stamina, making it a great option for physically demanding situations and quicker recovery. Here's another one you may have heard of, Panic's ginseng. This is an adaptogen that can enhance both physical endurance and mental energy, helping you stay sharp even when fatigue creeps in. Now, when you think about it, the specific benefits of nootropics, such as enhanced focus, stress resistance, better memory, improved sleep, sustained energy, all align perfectly with our demands in our career. But they're not about giving you superhuman abilities. Instead, they help you optimize what you already have. They allow you to perform at your best when it counts the most. But here's the key. Nootropics are not a magic pill. When you hear all the great things these different ones can do, you may think, boy, this is great stuff. However, they won't replace the basics. Going back to things such as good nutrition, good hydration, regular exercise, and quality sleep when you can get it. Those are the key. Think of nootropics as a potential supplement for your existing wellness routine, not a substitute. Now, here comes part that we really need to talk about, safety. Now, we've talked about how nootropics might help a firefighter. Let's get into the most important part, safety and what potential dangers you could face. Now, while nootropics have the potential to enhance your mental performance, they're not without risk, especially if they're used improperly. Also, if you're taking other medications. Here's what you need to know before adding nootropics to your routine. The first step in using nootropics safely is understanding what you're putting in your body. Not all nootropics are created equal, and the market's full of products that have exaggerated claims and are just bull. Here's how you can stay informed. Check for scientific backing. Stick with nootropics that have been studied extensively and have shown to be effective. We know things such as caffeine, L-theanine, ashwagandha, and omega-3 fatty acids have a rock-solid track record when it comes to research. Beware of marketing gimmicks. If a product promises to unlock 100% of your brain's potential or make you an overnight genius, guess what? It's lying. That's a red flag. Focus on realistic claims backed by science and evidence. Also, look for third-party testing. Choose supplements that are independently tested for purity and potency. This ensures you're not consuming harmful contaminants or fillers. The next thing you should do is consult a professional. Like we said from the beginning, I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. Talk to your physician. Talk to a medical specialist. Before you try a new supplement, it's always a good idea to check in with a healthcare provider, especially if you have any ongoing health conditions or you're taking medications. Here's why. We have potential interactions. Some nootropics can interact with medicines you might be taking, like blood thinners, antidepressants, or even stimulants. For example, ginkgo biloba can thin your blood, which might not mix well with certain medications that you take as blood thinners. be cautious. Also, everyone's body reacts differently. A healthcare provider can help you to choose the right nootropic for your needs and recommend a safe starting dose. A lot of times when you look at the bottles of these supplements, they do not give a solid dose. You have to know where to start. If your department has a medical team or a wellness program, consider bringing this topic of nootropics to them. They may already have some resources or guidance on supplements to help you. Now, the next one, start low, go slow. When it comes to nootropics, more is not always better. In fact, too much of a good thing or certain substances in this case can lead to side effects such as headaches, digestive issues, or even increased anxiety. I have taken some of the nootropics before trying them out, and they and my stomach did not get along. It's not unusual. If that's a problem, well, check out another option. The other key thing to do is to track your reactions, good or bad. Keep a journal of how you feel after you take a nootropic. Are you focused? Do you feel calm? Or are there things you don't like? Are you a little bit jittery? Do you have brain fog? Well, by looking back at this journal, it'll help you fine-tune your approach to nootropics. Also, it's important to avoid stacking too many at once. When we use the word stack, we're referring to combining multiple nootropics for enhanced effects. Now, we did talk about the dynamic duo of nootropics. Well, that's one example of it. But while stacking can be effective, it's best to start with just one substance at a time. Once you understand how each affects you, then you can consider combining. Now, here's a big one. We want to keep you employed, so be aware of any legal and departmental policies. Now, this is a big one. Before you take any new supplements, make sure to comply with your department's wellness policies and other local regulations. Over-the-counter doesn't always mean safe. In fact, because something is available online or at a health store doesn't mean that it's allowed for first responders. Certain synthetic nootropics, synthetic in particular, like modafinil, will possibly require prescription. In fact, it might even be considered a controlled substance in some areas. Also, check for banned substances. If your department conducts drug testing, which almost all of us face that now, ensure the nootropics you're considering don't contain ingredients that could trigger for a positive result. Look for certifications like NSF certified for sport, which ensures the product is free of banned substances. Finally, listen to your body. Remember, nootropics aren't for everyone. If you notice negative side effects like increased anxiety, digestive issues, or insomnia, it might not be the right fit for you, and that's okay. There's no one-size-fits-all solution, and your mental and physical health should always come first before taking anything. Also, it's okay to take some breaks. Some nootropics work better when you cycle them, basically meaning you take them for a few weeks, then take a break to avoid building up a tolerance, much like a lot of allergy medications that we face today. Also, don't ignore the basics. As we said, nootropics are a supplement, nothing more. They're not a replacement for good health habits. Keep up your hydration, your nutrition, your exercise, and your rest. They are still the foundation of peak performance. So, let's recap very quickly. In order for us to use nootropics safely, we need to do our research and stick with well-studied options. Very important here, consult a healthcare professional before starting anything new. Start with a small dose and avoid stacking too many nootropics at once. Also, check your department's policies and any legal regulations. And finally, pay attention to how your body reacts and adjust accordingly. In conclusion, when we properly use things like nootropics, it can be a helpful tool for enhancing our performance at our job. But the key word here is responsibly. Safety always comes first. Now, nootropics are something that we're going to continue to learn more and more about, and more things will become available on the market, but it's important that we stay realistic in our expectations and also in our uses of them. Now, this is just a very brief dive into what nootropics are, and we've discussed other ones such as caffeine in the past with coffee and things like that. So we encourage you to ask questions, do some research, learn what works for you. Everybody's different. And as we always say here on the All Clear podcast, we want you to be the best you can be using whatever tools are available, but ultimately light your fire within.